Okay, so in today's video, I want to have a candid chat and I just want to talk about some of the money mistakes I made in the past, or just things I wish I knew about money before I kind of made these mistakes. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a candid chat, and I'm hoping that you can avoid some of the mistakes I've personally made, or you can at least learn from some of the mistakes I made. And also I would love for you to comment some of the money mistakes you may have made in the past, because I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I've got my phone and I just want to go through some of the mistakes that I remember making that, yeah, if I'd known about it, things would have been different. Okay, so let's talk about one of the first mistakes. And I would say that one of the biggest things is just not having a plan for my money. So I think the first time that I really started to plan out my finances, or even just have financial goals, was back in 2018. So it was the end of 2018, and that was when I had done my first ever net worth statement. So I wanted to understand like how many assets I had, so savings, investments and things like that, versus how many liabilities I had, like for example credit card debt or car loans or any personal loans. And so I think after doing that net worth statement, and obviously then thinking, actually I really want to start focusing my finances, prior to that I had never ever had a plan to do anything with my finances. Like the closest thing I came to having a plan was when I wanted to save up for my first car and a laptop, and that was literally back a few years ago. Whilst I was at uni, I was working a part-time job and I just wanted to like have my first car so that I could drive around in uni. But that was it. Like after that, I didn't even have enough money to like maintain the car, so you know, that was also shambles. So I feel like when it comes to planning out your finances, just not having one, I feel like you end up just coasting. And so for me, because I didn't necessarily have a plan, all I was doing was just spending my whole paycheck. Like before I started working on my finances, I was literally living paycheck to paycheck because I wasn't working towards anything. Like I just thought that when I got paid, it was just for me to spend my money and that's it. Whereas when I started to work on my finances and actually created a plan, that was when I started doing things like learning how to save and paying off my debt, and then eventually learning how to invest. Had I not started planning out my finances, or even just thinking, okay, what does God want me to do with my finances, I would have just been coasting and I would probably not be where I am today. Another mistake that I made is just not understanding the difference between assets versus liabilities. And I think that it's just a shame that we're not taught about this stuff in school. Like we're not taught about what a net worth statement is, or what do savings really mean versus investments. What does retirement mean? It's just really annoying that we're not taught any of this in school. And for me, like not understanding the difference between assets and liabilities probably would have made me continuously be poor, because it was only until I understood that assets are things that you own, so these are going to be things that probably make you money, whereas liabilities are things that you typically owe, where you probably will lose money or it will cost you money. If I wanted to build wealth or even just some form of financial security, well then I would be working more towards building up the assets and reducing the liabilities. I only understood this when I started venturing into the personal finance world and, you know, taking the time to understand all of these terms. But I feel like many of us still don't really understand the difference between assets and liabilities, and we may not realize that we're purchasing a lot more liabilities compared to assets, which may end up having a negative impact on our finances overall. So I think one of the biggest things I would have loved to understand is the difference between assets and liabilities a lot earlier. But hey, it's never too late to learn, as we like to say. So I'm happy I obviously understand this now. But yeah, I would say that is definitely a big mistake that I made. And linked to that, I would say that one of the mistakes that I think I also made was not understanding the difference between making money and managing money. And you might feel like this is kind of straightforward, like, oh, you just make money and then you just manage money. But actually, when you really think about it, I think many of us are thinking that as long as we just make more money, that we'll instantly be able to manage our money better. And that is not always the case. So I remember when I finished my master's, when I'd finished university, I still had my maxed out overdraft, and I was thinking that, oh, when I just get my graduate job, I'll be able to pay off my overdraft really quickly and I just wouldn't need to worry about that. So I literally told myself that once I have a graduate job, because money will be coming in, I will instantly know how to manage my money. But when I actually started my graduate job, if you guys know my story, I ended up spending my whole paycheck. None of that money went to that overdraft at all. Like, my overdraft was still maxed out, and it was only until a few months after until I realized that obviously I had like my overdraft, but then I also had financed my car, so I had more debt. That's when I started to now work on like paying off that debt and paying off the overdraft. But it wasn't because I was making more money, it was because I changed my mindset around money. And I realized that in order for me to actually become financially healthy, I need to learn how to manage my money, and just making more money may not actually fix my problems. So for me, I think that I'm probably not the only person who has made this mistake, or maybe still thinks this, but I think it's really important to be very clear on the different terms and really understand what season you're in. If you are in a season where you know you're making a decent amount but you're struggling to save money, or you're struggling to manage your money, that may be something that you need to focus on. And just making more money by getting that promotion or starting that side hustle may not actually fix the root problem. So for me personally, and I know that I talk about this a lot on my channel, but I think understanding the difference between making money and managing money is so important. And now I'm at the point where, because I know how to manage my money, I can just then focus on making more money, because I already know how to manage the money that I have. So even if I make more, I'll know how to manage that money. But I think sometimes we're just a bit confused in terms of thinking that, oh, as long as we just, you know, get a better paying job, or as long as we just have a side hustle, for example, that it's just going to fix everything when it comes to how we view money, when in reality that's not the case. And sometimes we just have to be really real with ourselves and just ask ourselves, do I actually know how to manage my money well, so that if God then blesses me with more money, I also know how to manage that money. And that may seem a bit harsh, but for me personally, it was a harsh reality that I had to face, and I'm so glad I did it, because now I'm in a season where I know how to manage my money, and now I can just make more money and still know how to manage that money too. Okay, so the next mistake, or something that I feel like I just wish I learnt more about, is just understanding the root problem when it comes to money. So what I mean by this is, when I first started my graduate job and I was earning around 27 to 28k a year, I genuinely thought that I didn't have enough money to save. I thought that there was no money for me to save, and there was no money for me to give either. Like giving tithes, for example, to my church, that was just alien to me, because I was like, how am I supposed to give tithes? Like, I don't have money to be doing that. But I didn't realize that the root problem was just because I didn't feel like I had enough, and that came from my past. So for example, I didn't grow up in like a rich family, for example. We weren't poor, but we weren't rich either. Like, we were probably in between. But I remember like going to my school was like a grammar school, and so it had a lot of middle class kids. Their parents were pretty much well off, so the kids basically looked like they were well off, and you could kind of tell in terms of like the houses the parents had, and you know, some of them being able to like start their driving lessons really early and have a car and all of that. So I feel like from there, I just always felt like I was behind everyone, because I didn't really come from a background that had that kind of money. And then obviously you go into university and you're pretty much broke for the 3 years that you're there. So when you now start working and you get paid all this money, of course you now want to spend the money, because you feel like you've deprived yourself of all those years in school and in university where you're pretty much broke, now getting to the point where you have money coming in consistently. That was the root problem. It wasn't the fact that I just couldn't save money. No, I could save money, but it was because I just felt like I needed to spend the money because I had never had that much money before at all. Like at university, I never had it, and at school, I never had it. And so if you're someone who maybe struggles with dealing with money, I would say think about the root problem. Like, where is that actually coming from? And this is always something that I try to really understand with my clients, because some of the surface level problems is the fact that, oh, I just spend more, oh, I just impulse spend, or oh, I'm just not good at budgeting. No, there is usually a particular problem that is stopping them from actually being able to manage their money better. And it's only until you uncover that root problem where you can actually start to work on it, and that's when the true results start to come. So when I realized that I had to learn how to be content with the money that I already had, that God had essentially given me, that is when I now started being able to save a lot more and being able to give a lot more and just being happy with the money that I currently have, to be honest. Now, the other mistake I think I definitely made was just not talking about money. And I know that this is kind of like a touchy subject because especially in the UK, we don't like to talk about money. It's maybe like a taboo subject, and it's definitely something that I feel like we should talk about because money does have a large impact in our lives, whether you like it or not. Like, in order for you to eat or have shelter, you need money, and you know, to be able to do that. And so I think that one of the mistakes was just not being able to talk about money more openly. And because I wasn't talking about money openly, or I wasn't asking questions around money, it just meant that I couldn't really seek help. So for example, I remember back when I was trying to pay off my debt, yes, it was good that I had like the YouTube videos to watch and I was like reading the books, but I realized that in order for me to truly understand like, oh, how can I actually build wealth, or how can I actually, you know, push the needle into paying off my debt, I needed to talk to people about my money situation and learn from their experiences and how they've been able to like manage their money and invest their money. And so I ended up going to different networking events, just meeting random people, and I would go on my own simply talking to people about money. Like, I would ask them how they were investing their money, how much did they save for like their investment property, for example. I would ask them all of these questions, and because I did that, I then got more comfortable with talking about money. And I think that is probably why I was so comfortable talking about money on my YouTube channel, because I was then used to talking about it to random people. So I was like, well, if I'm going to talk about money to random people that I've never met, I may as well talk to more random people on the internet. And then I ended up actually bringing that in-house. So I ended up talking about money with my family a lot more. This is something that we literally discuss all the time whenever we meet, and it's just like a casual conversation now. I can tell you like my closest family members, what they're making, how much they're saving. I know everything essentially, and I think it's actually very helpful because then we can help each other and say, oh, actually maybe you need to start focusing on this, or have you thought about this? The same thing when it comes to marriage. Like, money was one of the first things we decided to talk about because I knew that money problems is one of the leading causes of divorce, and so I wanted to be really comfortable with talking to my husband about money. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, I will sometimes even talk about money to my friends. So I'm now at the point where I will openly have the conversation about money and not be afraid to talk about it, because I feel like it just makes me more of an insightful person, and I can then learn from other people in terms of what they're also doing when it comes to their money. So I know that this is definitely a scary topic, especially when it comes to like dealing with family and friends, but I think just talking about it a bit more often, you get to just understand where people are coming from. And even just simple conversations about like going out, or just simply telling your friends, for example, look, I can't really go on this holiday because I'm saving up for a house deposit. I feel like when we openly have those conversations, people now start to understand a bit more, and they're less likely to be, you know, hostile about that. I'm obviously talking from personal experience, that's what I found, but I would definitely recommend, you know, trying to start having the conversation maybe with people that you trust and see how you get on. Now, if any of this resonated with you and maybe you feel like you've actually made some of these mistakes, or maybe you simply want someone to talk to when it comes to your own personal finances, where you've maybe found that you haven't been able to do it with other people, then this is definitely something I can help you with when it comes to one-on-one coaching. So it's a safe space for you to talk about all of your finances, and I can help you when it comes to either saving more money, investing more money, or simply just creating a budget that works for you. So make sure you do check that out if you haven't already. You can just book a free sales call just to find out more about how I can help you with your finances. So I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. But I do hope you found this video useful, and I would definitely say there are plenty more mistakes that I made with money, but I wanted to share these ones because I think they're a bit more unusual and a little bit more vulnerable, to be honest, when it comes to like thinking about your past and thinking how that can have an impact on how you view money in the future. So if you did like this video, then please do remember to give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. And I do post every Tuesday, so if you would like to learn more content, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, and I hope you guys have an amazing week.